officially call the meeting to order. Let me welcome everybody to the October 2020 meeting of the KCSA Board. We'll start out with a roll call. Jonathan Hawk.
Here.
All right. Michael Pierce.
Here.
Angel Freeman.
Here.
John Hudson is here. Anicio Holmes Brown.
She won't be here today.
Sorry?
She will not be here today.
Okay. Ed Connors.
Present.
Catherine Chapman.
Here.
Brandon Beatty.
I do not see her yet.
Okay. Ron Lynn.
He's here, but hold on one second.
He may be muted.
Okay, I've unmuted him, so I'm not sure. Okay, maybe he's there now.
I'm here.
Oh, there he
Okay,
is.
Ron. All right, we have a quorum, so we're good to do business. Let's move next to item 2 on the agenda. And let's move the slide deck. Our Homeowners Forum. For the Homeowners Forum to address the board, you'd have needed to register through Ask KCSA. If you did, you'll be unmuted and you'll have 3 minutes. And please also state your name and address. And I understand that we have 2 individuals who want to speak. So Mr. Abraham, would you like to start out first?
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you. I appreciate it. Susan, I'm going to try to share screen here if I can. Is there any way to do that, Susan?
I'm not sure there is, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, because I know the
They're
screen that's up there now would have to be taken down, but
yeah.
She can stop share and allow him to be a co-host, and that'll allow us to share the screen. Or either make him a co-host for the time we're speaking.
Well, let's just, all right, we'll allow
Okay.
you to share the screen. So I'll stop share. And Susan. you-
perfect. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate it. For technology. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you. I appreciate that. My name, again, is Craig Abraham. I'm here with my wife, Sean. We reside at 161 John Browning. In June, the Dunns, our neighbors, and I, our family, were notified that an application was submitted to build on the lot between our 2 homes. What I've displayed here is just an overview shot. We live at the end of the cul-de-sac on John Browning, and there's a house in between the Dunns and I. They're trying to build there. It's an open lot. Plans were submitted back in June. This is over 4 months ago. We were notified that application was submitted to build between the 2 homes. The prospective buyers were requesting a variance to build their house off to the right in front of ours. We were immediately concerned because of the positioning of the house would make it appear as if our house was behind theirs, and we felt that it really takes away from our house and would significantly devalue our house. We have hired an appraiser who's coming in, who's been on the land a couple of times. We don't have the appraisal yet to determine the potential devalue. But we voiced our concerns then. The EPB initially approved the variance to allow the prospective buyers to build within 10 feet of the property line. And mind you, I didn't mention this earlier, it's 25 feet. Between lots 15 and 16, there's a requirement for a 25-foot, and that's in the covenants for Browning's grant. And I have an excerpt of that, and I can show you that here in a few minutes. So we contacted KCSA, we talked to Bruce, we talked to everyone that would listen to us. So Bruce and Susan Tarley got involved, and the lawyer for KCSA, they got involved, and they actually rescinded that approval. And then, and not that everything was fine, but back in August, just last month, a couple months ago, the potential buyers resubmitted. They resubmitted. They moved it to 15 feet. Again, it's not 25 feet. It's not in compliance with the covenants. We were opposed. We thought, we did the same thing. We submitted a request in, and it was approved. It was approved. In the meantime, I had spoken with the potential buyers and Casey Wojciechowski, and he had mentioned, and I don't have a pointer here, but he could move the house back. He can't actually move it so it's parallel to us. I mean, ideally that's where we'd want it, but there's there's some restrictions here, and you can't see it on this overhead shot. But further back, it can be. There you go. Thank you. It can't. Maybe it's not that far back, but anyway, it's back in that area, and that was their second choice. They said we did. What he claimed was, hey, we didn't want to block your view of Wehrman's Pond if we put the house back there. You're not. We have a direct view behind us. We're not concerned about if you built the house further back on the lot. We are very concerned about where they're planning to build the house because it is very intrusive. And those weren't even my words. Those were words from an EPB member. Unfortunately, they did not have their video that was displaying it. So I don't know who actually said it. It was a female voice. And I would say I would absolutely agree with that lady who said that. It is very intrusive.
Craig, you're past your 3-minute mark.
Okay, I will wrap up. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will wrap up. All we're asking is for the BOD to take a look at this, have the KCSA lawyer talk to our lawyer. That's why we got a lawyer, because we didn't, take the emotion out of it, let the lawyers interpret the covenant, which says 25 feet, and that's all I have. I appreciate your time. We're just asking for your help.
Right, thanks very much.
My name's Shawnee.
Mrs. Abraham had some comments that she wanted to make as well.
Yes, I do. The Dunns and Craig and I, we voiced these concerns, like we said. We have questions that have never been answered by the BOD. The first is, considering that we have 3 separate law offices and had a judge look over and come to the same conclusion that the side setback requirement for lots 15 and 16, which is clearly stated in the covenant for John Browning, does the BOD not think it's prudent to get another legal opinion on the covenant, since it is the basis for which the EPB is saying that they have granted the right for this variance? The second question that has never been answered is, if the EPB is authorized to grant a variance, how does the BOD interpret minor? The EPB's own policy statement is that the purpose of the variance is for a minor building setback adjustment to accommodate a new home. We suggested that a corner of a small portion of the house that extends within the setback is reasonable, whereas the EPB has granted a variance of 118 feet by 10 feet, or 1,108 square feet. You could clearly see that in the white that is extended across.
Sorry, I just wanted to show you what it says. I'm trying to get to this screen.
You have to go back out and start.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Well,
It's in the policy. It's in the policy. I was just trying to show you the policy statement.
Building on the previous question, can the BOD request the EPB to cite other minor setbacks that have been approved in the past 3 years so that we can compare how fair, equitable, and consistent they have applied their variance? The fourth question, considering that the prospective buyers have made it known to us that they considered building an alternate location, which we're less opposed to, why doesn't the EPB pose that to the prospective buyer to build there? Also, number 5, we prefer to mediate, vice litigate. I would concede that there has been mediation that's occurred between the prospective buyer and the EPB vice chair, but it doesn't come close to any mitigating instances that we have about our concerns. In fact, there have been none. Again, why not involve us as the homeowners who are gravely potentially about to have a negative financial impact because of the placement of this house? We posed many questions to the EPB and BOD over the last 4 months, but none of them have been answered at all. If KCSA, EPB, and the BOD ask for questions and statements, then these questions and statements ought to be addressed. That's our right as residents here. As previously stated, we both would prefer not to have to settle this matter in court. This has affected us emotionally, mentally, and physically over the last 4 months. And we're just asking for your support and help again to extend to us what we deserve as residents in the neighborhood. I'm asking to sit down with us, asking you all or someone to sit down with us to adequately solve the issue. We've witnessed the EPB enforce compliance for homeowners over the past 4 months in all of these meetings for other homeowner situations other than ours. In our case, they are doing just the absolute opposite, and we're wondering why. Do we need to compare and contrast these situations? Because gravely, the amount of money that we could potentially lose on this is far more extensive than what we've observed over the last 4 months in these conversations.
We've run past the 3 minutes, so I'm going to.
It's not too late for us to correct this situation if you would give us the courtesy to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would you do me a favor, please? Would you email me those questions?
Yes, we will. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll get in touch with you. I'll give you the email address.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. All right, now we need to go back to share screen again.
Mr. Abraham, can you stop sharing your screen so John can have it back?
Are you seeing the slides? No, I don't think you are. Okay. Okay, Susan, are you seeing the slides?
Yep, we sure do.
Okay, we're back on track.
Mhm.
All right, let's move to item 3 on the board agenda. This is our consent agenda. I'm going to break this up into 2 parts. So we'll,
Hey, John, I thought I heard you say there were 2 people on the homeowner forum. That was the couple?
that was it.
Okay,
I think we're done.
all right.
We'll do items A, B, and C, items 3A, B, and C as a group, and then we'll do items D and E. So the first item in the consent agenda is item A, approval correction of our September 24th board meeting minutes. That's pages 1 to 4. Second item 3B, ratification of unanimous consent of the board for a contract with Cypress Woods Construction for drainage for $48,000. And item C, ratification of unanimous consent of the board to approve the cost of KMPD's engaging their attorneys to review their 5 most critical policies and procedures. Hadn't been done in a while. So are there any changes or corrections to 3A, B, or C? Anyone? All right, need a motion to approve.
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Please make a note that Ed Connors says aye to A and C, but abstains from B because I was not involved in the unanimous consent.
Okay, we'll make a note of that for the minutes. Move on to item 3D and E. 3D, ratification of unanimous consent of the board to amend the Branscombe paving contract in Burwell's Glen and Burwell's Woods from $735,000 plus to $540,000 plus. And then the second item, 3E, ratification of unanimous consent of the board for a contract with the amount of $230,421 for soil stabilization in and Burwell's Woods in preparation for paving. So are there any changes or corrections to 3D or E? I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the ayes carry. Next, let's go to item 4, which is our review of the September financials. So Ron, you want to take us through that?
Yes. For the month of September, KCSA ran an operating surplus. The KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $434,000, which is on budget. Other income was $70,000 versus budgeted other revenue of $50,000. KCSA operating revenue after debt service and reserve funding totaled $344,000, which is $22,000 over budget. We incurred $328,000 in total operating expenses, which was $23,000 unfavorably over budget. The net result for August is we had, the net result for September is we had $16,000 of income over expenses compared to a budget forecast of $17,000. Turning to the year-to-date results for the 9-month ended September 30th, through September, KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $3,906,000, which is $4,000 ahead of budget. In addition, other income amounted to $500,000 or about $6,000 under budget. These two income streams amounted to $4,406,000. After paying our mortgage expenses and setting aside our reserve funding, we had $2,975,000 of operating income, which is $10,000 over what we budgeted. Bringing all this together, we generated year-to-date operating income of, as I said, $2,975,000, while operating expenses amounted to $2,755,000. Therefore, we had a revenue surplus of $220,000 for the first 9 months of the year. This resulted mostly from operating expenses that were $187,000 under budget. Of special interest, homeowner resale income for the 9 months ended September 30th was $314,000 versus our year-to-date budget forecast of $333,000. In the month of September alone, homeowner resale income amounted to $52,000, which is $16,000 over an expected income of $36,000. Before I leave the financial statements, John, would you roll up the next slide, please? I wanted to bring, I was asked to bring this because the budget for legal expenses for the year is $27,900. As you can see, we have exceeded that budget considerably. And I would like the board to see that there's really two drivers here causing this, the director eligibility issue and the lawsuit. I don't expect that we're going to have too many more expenses this year. In the remaining 3 months, there will be some, but not inordinate amount. But I wanted to bring your attention that we are running $21,000 over budget for this. Turning to, now let's look at our funded reserves. If you'd go back, as of the end of September, the operating expense reserve fund, or OER, we had $2,000 in expenditures this month. Year to date, we've spent $130,000 on stormwater drainage and tree management projects, and we have a balance of $730,000 in OER. Major Maintenance and Replacement Fund, or MM&R, we spent $372,000 this month, primarily on road construction. Year to date, we've spent $690,000 on MM&R projects. The MM&R fund has a balance of $5,685,000. New Capital Projects Fund, or NCP, we had no expenditures this month, and year to date, we've spent $56,000. The NCP fund has a balance of $725,000. Turning to our accounts receivable for September, homeowner accounts receivable for both KCSA and the parcels has a balance of $149,000, which is unfavorably up about $4,000 from August. Homeowner accounts receivable over 90 days old amounted to $96,000, which is up from about $4,000 from last month. The financial statements have been reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee, and it recommends the Board of Directors approve the September financial statements. I move the board approve the September financial statements.
Second.
All right, any questions, anyone? Any questions or comments for Ron? Ron, one thing, just to put the legal fees in context, as you said, we are over budget on that particular line item, but our year-to-date variance, when you factor in all expenses, is we are under by 197,000, I believe is the number, if I'm reading it correctly.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we are. Yes,
I'm sorry?
Overall, of course, we have two big drivers for our spending, as you might imagine. Our lifestyle programs are underspent by about a little over $100,000, and more like 110,000 actually. And then our major maintenance and repair or maintenance, recurring maintenance is under about $50,000. But we expect that variance to go down some because we tend to spend more at the end of the year to catch up on maintenance items.
Yeah. My only point was that while we're about 21,000 under in terms of a variance to budget on legal fees, we're about 197,000 to the good overall, once you factor in everything.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, then I think we have a motion to approve and we have a second. If there are no more questions, anyone? Then all in favor of accepting the September financial statement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, statements accepted. Thank you, Ron. Next, let's move to staff reports. That's pages 5 through 12 in your agenda materials. And Susan, I think you're pinch hitting this month.
Yes, I will. I'll go over the staff report in Bruce's absence. I believe Ron spoke a little bit on the delinquency, so I'll just bypass that page. But as far as community standards, we had 27 new disclosures in the month of September. The disclosures that came into compliance from previous disclosure packages, we had 29 come in that have been corrected. Disclosure follow-ups, we did 67. We had 89 new violations, and that would be from the phase that we're in with the subdivision that we're in. We started new subdivision, so that would be those homes that were in violation on top of other new ones that have been reported to the office. 125 follow-up violations, 27 come into compliance out of the new violations. And we only had one hearing in September. On EPB applications, we had 113 applications come through the KCSA for the month of September. Year to date, we're at 634 applications that the EPB has reviewed. And completed and in progress projects, the South Hall retaining wall project it's been completed. The 2021 reserve study for all parcels and the general KCSA is complete. The tree management program, it's completed for KCSA and the parcels are being reviewed right now. The project, Tutter's Neck, their paving project's complete. They went through and did some cleanups and did some repairs, and it looks like that one's totally finished. But then we have Burwell Green, which is still in progress. And various drainage projects are in progress. I think Jerry Henley might touch on some of the report. That's it.
Okay, Susan, quick question for you. Best guess in terms of the Burwells when the repaving is going to begin? Do we have a good estimate on that?
We are, we're at the final stages of the engineering. They have started bringing some of the pills they took, the core samples and the additive chemicals or cement or lime that they added to it. They've started breaking a few of those to try and get the right PSI that we need. That's according to VDOT. You need to meet a certain PSI when those break. By the end of next week, hopefully Friday of next week, if not Monday of the following week, we should have that job mix formula. We have, we've already sent the new field to them, so they're putting us on the schedule, and then as well as Branscombe. So I'm looking to get the job mix formula at the end of next week, which is the 30th of October, or November 2nd. And that will be passed on to the contractor.
Okay. Susan, I'm not sure if that's you or if it's somebody else who's unmuted, seems to have a second, maybe coming through on a phone or something. We're getting some feedback from an echo. So whoever that might be, if you could turn off the phone or whatever the second source.
Yeah, I don't have, it's not us because it's pretty quiet in the conference room here. Can't see, only the board members are unmuted.
Yeah, it could be one of the board members. So anyway, just making a note.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Susan. Now I know Jim is on vacation for the KMPD report. I don't know if Jeff is on, if Jeff is going to make a report. Jeff, are you on? All right, I guess not. His Jim's report is on pages looks like 11 and 12 in your material. Probably the two most significant, one or two significant things in here is there was a vehicular accident involving a pedestrian at the intersection of Mounts Bay Road and Kings Mill Road. So this is back a few weeks. If people saw a number of emergency vehicles on the scene, that's what that was about. The person I think is, is fine. I mean, it was certainly not a life-threatening event, but and as a result, we've asked the safety officer for KMPD to go to all the major intersections and just make sure that landscaping hasn't grown up to where it could be an issue contributing to some kind of an accident, and that stop signs are where they are always in place where they need to be, and just looking at everything from a safety point of view. And the safety officer issued a report, which I'll share with the board, that identifies about 5 areas where we can improve a bit on that particular intersection. So we'll follow up with that. All right, I need a motion. If there are no other questions, I need a motion to accept the staff reports.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, ayes carry. All right, let's move on now to new business, item 6A. The Good Neighbor Committee requests to replace a departing member and to fill another open position with Bridget Kylander and Ruth Ann Wilson. Lois, are you on? You want to speak to that?
Yes, I'm here. I have nothing else to add.
Okay, all right. Any board member questions or anything? Okay, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried. All right, item 6B. Wareham's Point request for approval to use $2,475 from MM&R to pay for sidewalk replacement. That's on pages 19 and 20 in your board packet. Ron, any comments you have on this?
No, there's adequate funding to cover this item. was just an oversight in their initial budget submission.
Okay. All right, any other questions, anyone? Okay, need a motion to approve.
So move.
Need a second.
Yep.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes carry. Item 6C, River's Edge Amendment to the landscape contract to add yearly maintenance of 4 empty lots and bank trimming for the remainder of the contract for an additional $8,400 per year in 2021 and 2022. This is on pages 21 and 22 of your agenda materials. Is Tom on with us?
Yes, I am, John.
Okay, Tom, you want to speak to that?
Right. This is a relatively minor modification. As you may know, the 4 vacant lots in River's Edge still are the property of Bush Properties in St. Louis. Kings Mill Realty had been mowing those, but several months ago they stopped. And based on homeowner complaints, we've had to ask JD to mow those. And it appears as if that's going to be an ongoing expense until those parcels are actually, or those lots in the parcel are actually developed. So what we want to do is modify his contract to simply reflect the reality that he's going to be mowing those lots as well as all the developed ones.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Any discussion, any questions from the board?
Yes, this is Jonathan here.
Yeah, Jonathan, go ahead.
I've been in discussion with Bush Properties about this matter. They're looking to try to get it cleared up. I don't think it's, and Susan can help me out. We were talking with them or emailing yesterday. I don't think it's as clear as everybody thinks it is. So we need to get it. We need to work with both sides to get it straightened away.
Okay, so John, are you recommending that we defer action on this today?
I'm not suggesting we defer it past today. It just may change in the near future, I guess. I think they're trying to, from what I understand, they're trying to get their head wrapped around what's actually going on.
Yeah, it's just as a matter of historical interest, they typically pay us slightly over $8,000 a year. And typically for other maintenance issues inside the limited common area here, but they typically run a year or more in arrears in making that payment. Ron has a lot more history on that than I do. I would recommend we not defer this because the lots have to be mowed and we have to do something about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say I'm not in favor of deferring it. I think that, you know, we can amend the contract and sort this out in the coming months. And if there's anything that's back due, we'll make sure we get that corrected with Anheuser-Busch.
Okay, fair enough. Any other comments from the board, comments or questions? All right, then I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carry. All right, item 6D, final approval of the River's Edge Supplemental Declaration Amendment and authorization for legal counsel to file, pages 23 to 27 in your board packet. Tom, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, but the only 2 words that come to my mind are at last. We finally got sufficient number of homeowners votes to ratify the amendment. This is the language that has been previously approved by the board. So the next step is for the board to essentially approve the ratification of the homeowners and then send this on to legal counsel for recording.
Okay. I know originally this was intended to be a bit of a prototype for other parcels that are so inclined to use. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I believe so. I've been sharing our progress and our textual changes with the parcel coordinating committee as we go, and I let them know as soon as we had the final vote. So I think everybody in the various parcels is up to speed with where we are.
All right, great. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, need a motion to approve.
So move.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Please note in the minutes that Ed Connors abstains. I was not involved in any of the development of this process.
All right, thank you. The ayes carry. Let's move to item 6E, the Public Works Committee. A request to add Stephen Luke as a new member, pages 28 and 29. Any comments or questions from the board? Looks like a very qualified candidate. Jerry, Jerry, do you have any comments you want to make?
No, I just would endorse that. Steve's credentials are excellent. He and his wife are real supporters of Kings Mill, and we would welcome him on board. As you know, we've lost a couple of longstanding members on the committee, and this will be a very positive addition for us.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Any further discussion or questions from the board? Need a motion to approve?
Move.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. All right, let's move to item 6F. Middletown Quarter request for tree work in limited common areas in the amount of $15,000 in 2020 and $14,932.09 in 2021. Is Sally with us? Sally, do you want to speak to this?
I don't have Sally on. I have Sue Kaufman on. She can speak to this if she would like. But I
Okay.
don't have Sally on that I can see. I have a couple phone numbers and only know.
I don't, this is Sue. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I don't think Sally's on,
Okay.
but if you have some questions about this, I'd be happy to answer.
Just maybe having you give us 30 seconds on this contract. It looks like.
Okay. Quickly, we were part of the KCSA's Bartlett's assessment of our tree issues, and they were enormous, and this was last year. And so we were able to supplement our budget this year to do $15,000 worth of work following Bartlett's recommendations. We've been able to reduce the work that they have recommended immensely by some work that's been done by some of our residents, and also some other additional work that we have had done. So getting 15,000 squared away this year, and then an additional 14,932 in 2021, January, should put us in a much better place than we were before Bartlett's assessment.
Okay, and
We're
then,
thrilled. We're absolutely thrilled with, we went out to bid. Brightview came in with a very competitive price, and it's so far so good. Their response has been wonderful. We love the way they're using technology, and we're looking forward to seeing how the work will proceed.
okay, thank you, Sue. Ron, any comments from a financial end of things? Looks like it is budgeted.
This is covered in their two budgets. So, you know, it's ready to go.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. All right, thank you. Item 6G. Police Department requests to, KMPD requests to purchase a 2020 Dodge Durango police vehicle and the associated equipment in 2021 for a total of $38,583.77. Pages 35 to 43 in your material. Jim is not with us today. Ron, we're just ordering it now, right? We'll actually pay for
Yes, this is Jim's asking to place this vehicle on order, this will replace, they have one Crown Vic that, it has a cage, and the Crown Vic that they have right now has a cage in the back, so that when when one of us gets too much fire water and they have to put us in the back in a cage, this is the only vehicle that the police have that can do that, and this vehicle is worn out. So Jim wants to get this on order. It'll be delivered next year and paid for next year. So it's just a matter of, this was in the MM&R schedule. We replace one police vehicle per year. And so this just puts it on order and be paid for next year.
So we are both voting on pre-order or ordering it in 2020, and I guess spending the money in 2021, right? That's what the vote would be?
That's what it does. It commits us to that obligation.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, need a motion to approve?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes carry. Let's see, President's report. I want to cover very quickly two things. One is, and Ron, you might confirm this, we are still on schedule for November 10th at 3 p.m. in the afternoon to have a town hall focusing on the 2021 budget, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so I just want to get that on everybody's radar. November 10th to focus on the budget. Our plans were to split the focus between the budget and our deer management program. We've run into just some scheduling issues with the individuals we want to participate in that. So we're going to reschedule that. So November 10th will just be dedicated to the budget. And then we'll pick another date that works with everybody's calendar to have a deer management town hall meeting.
John,
Later in November or very early December, I would think.
John, I'd like to slip that budget presentation so that it comes together, but the only issue is we've got I think a board meeting on the 19th of November, somewhere in there. And the idea of presenting this draft budget to the community is to allow comment, so the board has time to react to that before they approve the 2021 budget. And of course, this is all driven by the fact that at the end of November, we need to have the coupons printed for the payment books next year. And so the calendar just drives us to this November 10th date.
One of these days, we're going to get away from those coupons, right?
This is, we're taking deliberate steps this next year to get rid of that. And hopefully we'll be successful in giving people an alternate source to look at their, for example, accounts or things of that nature. So they can make out the right number, like online or things of that nature, without having to have a coupon book, because they cost about, well, between $4.50 and $5 a piece to print and mail.
Yeah. Yeah, we spend about 10 grand, 12 grand on that, as I recall.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to stay with November 10th for the budget meeting, because we have to do that in advance of November 19th. It is November 19th board meeting where we'll approve it. And then, like as I said, we'll reschedule the deer management piece for either in November or early December once we get calendars kind of cleared and squared away with everybody. The other thing I wanted to mention, let's see, I think I got a slide in here on it, is, yeah, we're in the middle of sort of an initial readout from our master planning project. We're really starting to get some information back from our partners, Timmons Group, Brand Federation, and Guernsey Tingle Architects. We had our first virtual meeting. We're having 3 virtual meetings. I've mentioned we had one last Thursday, a week from We had the second one yesterday, and we have the third one next Tuesday. And the first one really dealt with the survey results and how that sort of translates into branding strategy, or in other words, how do we hold ourselves out to the rest of the world in terms of what life is like at Kings Mill. Really important topic, really interesting discussion that we had last Thursday on the 15th. Yesterday, we had an equally interesting discussion where we talked about landscape design, we talked about signage, we talked about lighting, potentially a new design for the gatehouse. And then we looked at more of an overall basis at sort of a review of amenities and this, that, and the other. So excellent meeting. If you weren't able to attend one or both of those meetings, you can find them all online and you can still ask questions. So there's an online form where you can still submit your questions. And I really would encourage everybody to do that, because this is going to define to a large extent how we spend some big bucks over the next 5 years, 10 years. And so it's important that everybody be heard. So we've tried to make this a transparent process with these virtual meetings with our advisory committee made up of homeowners who are helping us with this, giving us feedback and stuff. But it's important we hear from the broader community. We had over 1,200 people participate in the survey. So that was another great, great source of information. But the third meeting is going to be next Tuesday, October 27th from 4 to 5:30 p.m. To sign up for that, let me see if I can do it without totally wrecking the slide deck here. Yeah, if you go to the website, this is the homepage for the KCSA website, and you go to About Us and look down here, you'll see the KCSA master plan. Click on that. And to our master planning homepage. And you can, from here, you can click to register for the meeting that's going to happen next week, the third meeting. But you can also look at the video. I would recommend the video presentations. So you can look at the video presentation from meeting number 1 and the video presentation from meeting number 2 and be caught up. And as I said, there is a form there to leave a comment, ask a question. So you can still participate in these meetings, and it's really important that that people do that. So I really hope you will take advantage of that. So let's see where we are. All right, the next thing, that's really all for the President's report. Update on the leadership agenda. You'll recall back in late 2019 and into early 2020, at each board meeting, we would come up with a, we had a leadership agenda, and we'd review that. And it's really how, what kind of progress we're making on some of our more significant initiatives. And we got completely bollocksed by coronavirus in March. I think March was the last time we covered this. But I want to start this back. And so I'll quickly want to give you an update on where we stand on the stuff that where we were at March. And also to say that we're going to pick this up again really for the first 6 months of 2021. So we're going to put together a new list of projects starting effective January 21. We'll start tracking those over the next 6 months and see how we do in terms of being able to accomplish those. So very quickly, I'm gonna go through this quick. The first thing here is basically develop a plan to add seasonal color along the main roads. Well, we incorporated that into the master planning process, and we had our first readout and pictures yesterday at this at the Timmons meeting that we had. So that is definitely underway, and we should be getting that final report probably in early January, early to no later than mid-January. Second item is update signage to match the style of street names and street sign names, street signs, I should say. We had a similar presentation yesterday where we talked about signage for streets, signage for rec centers. And I'm trying to think where else we might have in neighborhoods. And so that's been incorporated into the master plan, and as I said, we're getting that readout now. Update the community on the status and future direction of the strategic planning effort. Well, that is the master planning project. So that's all been incorporated to that. And we've had multiple presentations to the community on where all of that stands. create an easy-to-use evaluation for monthly review of the landscape maintenance contracts. That's been completed. Bruce Herring and Michael Pierce worked on that. That's been done. Perform a complete redesign of the KCSA website and launch it prior to 2019. Don't remember exactly when we launched it. It may have been just after 2019, but it's completely done and finished. Complete the paving of all roads. This is last year's paving. That's all been done. At this point, we're into 2020 paving now. Get our paving plans in place. Well, that's been done. The only hiccup there is Mounts Bay. For various reasons, that's been postponed and is scheduled to happen in 2021, but all the paving, certainly from 2019 has been done, and all the paving for 2020, with the exception of Mounts Bay, which has been moved, is currently underway. Engaged consulting engineer, that's been done. They're working with us now. Remove the current drainage eyesore. You remember on South Hall Road, that really ugly eyesore there with all the rocks and stones that kind of led down into an area, a gully, kind of an erosion area. Well, that was all ripped up and nice aggregate was paved and looks much more presentable. That was a real eyesore. So that's been completed. Finalized KCSA performance metrics and organizational structure. That project has been finished, but we want to go back and take a little more of an in-depth look at that because that's such an important thing. So I'm going to mark it as done because what we were contemplating over here when we put it together has been done, but we want to expand on that. So you'll see that one again on the next one. Update and simplify the process used by candidate search committee and elections committee. Again, same answer. It was done, what was contemplated here. But I think there's still a sense our election process is more confusing than it needs to be. So I think we need to go back and kind of up what we're trying to accomplish and then go back and treat that as a new project. Then this next one, frankly, I just don't know the answer to this. And so the answer to River Rock along the guardrails. I don't think that's been completed, but I'll just have to follow up on that. And then there's a whole list of smaller projects like replace the flags in the community, fix the boards that were missing in the bridge, the Old Country Road Bridge there near the 199 gate, eliminate the chapel, the rental fees for the chapel, a lot of things here, and every one of them been completed at this point. So overall, we did well, but the real point is here, we're going to track these projects on this leadership agenda starting January 1 and report out to the community each month on the progress that we're making. All right. Next will be standing committee reports. I think we have 2, as I recall. Lois, did you have a report on the Good Neighbor Committee?
I'd just like to bring people up to speed on what we're doing. We've met several times via Zoom since March. And basically what we're trying to do now is we're working on a welcome to Kings Mill activity. And we're investigating what each parcel does for new residents, and then we'll move slowly with that. We're working with the Lifestyle Committee. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Lois. And Jerry, Public Works, anything you want to bring us up to date on?
John, the only major thing we've got going is the paving in the Burwell area. The board's approval of that contract puts us in a good position to get the work done. Susan has already briefed the board on the details of what's happening, so I have really nothing to add there. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Gary. Any other committee chair that or representative that would like to update us on committee activities?
Yeah, John, I'm here.
Is that Craig?
Yeah.
Take
Can
it
you hear
away.
me all right?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay. I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on the 2 major projects we have going on till the end of the year. As you know, you folks approved the conversion of the tennis courts at Mounts Bay to pickleball courts. Reynolds will be able, he's given us a date of about 2 to 3 weeks before, for starting that. So it should be done by the end of the year. He has 1 or 2 jobs in the Eastern Shore. He'll be finishing those, and then we're next on the list. Also, we'll be doing the bike path repairs. We have the contractor kind of letting us be booked late November, early December. We'll come to the board either next month or prior to that for notational voting. The amount will be about $22,000, so it'll be a little under budget. And those will be the 2 final projects for the year.
Okay, Craig, thank you. Anyone else?
John, I could give an update. Go ahead.
I was just going to mention the Budget and Finance Committee has reviewed and completed working with all the parcel budgets for 2021. So those are completed, and we have completed the reports for the reserve of infrastructure, the MM&R funds. You know, we have a whole contract where we identify and look at all of our infrastructure in the major maintenance and repair area, and those contracts have all been completed, and so they'll be incorporated in our 2021 budgets.
All right, thank you, Ron. I know you folks have been working for many, many months. I think the budget process starts around May, as I recall.
Yeah.
And wraps up around the middle of November. You guys have just really done a fantastic job on that, for sure. And someone else, I think, was speaking up. And
That was Brandon with the Communications Committee for an update on that. Just so for transparency for neighbors, we are focusing our attention on the welcome packet for all new residents coming in, making it more efficient, and with the focus of trying to but just to make sure that new neighbors have specific information that's needed when they first move in. And in addition to that, so that's what our current focus is. And then, of course, the website is always evolving, and it will continue to evolve, and we'll continue to add content and updates. And with that, we will have a specific area within the website for those new residents, for a one-stop area for all details that they would need for being a new neighbor. And again, trying to make sure communication's out there with ease. And then our next big thing that we'll be focusing on after the welcome packet is the KCSA bulletin, engaging content, reformatting, so it has an overall new look and it's fresh. So we're doing some exciting things. And if, of course, anybody's interested in joining our committee, there are spots available.
great, thank you, Brandon. Those are some great projects that will go on, definitely go on that leadership agenda list. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Those will be fantastic. Those will be great when we get them done.
John, if I could jump in, it's Ed Connors.
Yeah.
Brandon, I don't want to join the committee, but if you need my help on anything, feel free to farm something out to me. I was very, very pleased to hear in the Timmons presentation yesterday that they acknowledge the need for an electronic reader board at the 199 gate. And as many people know, we've been talking about that for well over 3 years. So yeah. I would see that, I don't see it as a real heavy lift for communications because we're not talking about, content. We're basically talking about working to get the capital acquisition done at some point. But I would see that hopefully added to communications committee list. And I think you all are doing a fabulous job and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed. And I do agree with you. I think it's absolutely just another resource for communicating. So it's added to the list as well. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you. A lot of work still going on, even in the middle of this crisis we're in. So that's good to hear for sure. All right, the next And final item on our agenda, we're going to be hearing 2 EPB appeals. That's what the remainder of the meeting will consist of. And anyone that's not involved in the appeal, feel free to depart if you don't want to stay for this portion. The owners will be unmuted during their appeal, and I think we're going to start off with the appeal for Mr. Felder. And Mark, are you there? Are you going to kind of lead from an EPB point of view?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, so Mark, you want to take your up to 10 minutes and discuss the reason for the denial. Then we'll go over to Mr. Felder.
Sure. So ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mark Jacobowski here for the EPB. I'm the chairman, and we have the 2 appeals to speak with today. Mr. Felder at 25 Winster Fax. This appeal is to paint the trim of his house a white color. The EPB is denied this painting. Number one, there are prototypes in the neighborhood that are pre-approved, that the entire community PAC has voted on and approved, that are a brown bronze color. We have had numerous requests in the past submitted to the EPB for whites, light colors such as this, that we've denied. And thus, due to the fact that we have approved prototypes, we have denied this application. And that's all I have.
All right, has the parcel expressed a position on this?
Yes, the parcel basically, again, is indicated that they have prototype colors, and they have recently been in a paint cycle in several areas, and they're sticking to the prototype colors for the pack.
Okay, and this color would not be one of those prototype colors, obviously.
No, the prototype colors are a bronze brown.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Mark. Mr. Felder, you have up to 10 minutes.
Good afternoon. Out of the respect for y'all's time, I shouldn't take 10 minutes. Mr. Hudson, am I able to share my screen? And I've got just a very quick
Sure,
PowerPoint
we
to
can
show
do
you.
that. I'm going to stop sharing. I think Susan will let you screen share.
Yeah, I think I've already got it. Can y'all see
Yeah.
that okay?
There you go.
Okay. And I'm just, this isn't, I'm not going to kill y'all with PowerPoint. I've just got a couple slides here. I don't know how often y'all get through the Windsor Fax neighborhood. So I just wanted to kind of show you what the previous gentleman was discussing. To his point, there's been several requests about this. There seems to be a movement forward. Windsor Fax and Kingsmill in general, I think there's a lot of discussion about moving into the future. And you can see this is 25. I'm an end unit on the fourth fairway of the river course. We recently went through a paint cycle, as he mentioned. The request is, you can see we pretty much, and it's not exactly white, I think it's called Dover white or something like that, but we were changed to white where we used to be lodge brown, where our doors and windows are still brown. So our houses don't match themselves anymore. It's just the application and then the decision from the board. So I submitted the application on August 30th. I'm not sure when they met because the letter says May 26th. It was denied. It's obviously a typo, which is fine. And this were the reasons that I was given: architectural harmony, maintaining standards. All the units have to be painted the same color. And then Windsor Fax's standard is lodge brown. Now I'm assuming that, let me go back just a second. I'm assuming that lodge brown is for the doors and windows back when lodge brown was the color of the trim. Well, lodge brown isn't the color of the trim anymore. So now we have doors and windows that don't match our trim. So I just took a couple photos of some neighbors in here. I'm sure y'all are well familiar on the right with 16. And I know this is I know that's a violation in and of itself, but that thing is just an eyesore and doesn't match anything. And then further down and to the left in this photo, we've got doors that don't match in the same plexes, which is one of the reasons why I was told it was denied. We've got cranberry, I think it's cranberry doors. And I'm not saying any of this is negative, but the neighborhood doesn't match itself. I think it actually looks very good because there's a little bit of diversity in there. But then you come over to the right, and because of this insistence on staying with a 70s color that doesn't even exist anymore in our trim, we've got gutters that are painted multiple colors to match the different siding. This is a picture of the front of my house on the left, and you can see I've got a brown door that matches nothing anymore. And all I'm asking for is the ability to match my doors and windows to the trim so that we can move forward and get away from this brown that is pretty much ceasing to exist. There is a house, I've been told it's out of compliance, and I don't know the full history on it, so I don't want to speak on it, but this house on the right, this lady or gentleman has the white doors and windows, which again, I think is out of compliance, or I'm pretty sure is out of compliance, but you can just see how much better it looks, that the house actually matches itself. You know, and to y'all's point, and Mr. Hudson, you've even mentioned it in this meeting, there's much talk about Kings Mill moving forward. From the October 13th Winster Facts parcel meeting, the parcel committee actually stated the beauty of the neighborhood was a strong focus of the residents in the recent survey. Our focus, and this is their statements, not mine, our focus needs to be to modernize and update looking towards the future. And apparently the advisory committee for the master plan gave Winster Facts a virtual pat on the back for their move to this new trim color.
I think that was actually, that may have been me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think it speaks to my point that, you know, I'm trying to preserve architectural harmony and maintain standards. But to me, the EPB decision, with all due respect, no disrespect to them, but it appears that they're telling me, do not allow your house to match itself, but ensure that it matches all the other mismatched houses in the neighborhood. All I'm simply trying to do is move forward, get rid of the Lodge Brown, and have my house match itself. I just feel like this is an antiquated color. It's an antiquated decision. And I think we just need to move forward. To the previous gentleman, and I'm sorry, I don't recall his name just because I've never met him before. He had mentioned the parcel committee and their opinions, and I understand what he's saying, but I won't use any names. It was actually a parcel committee member that recommended that I submit this and try to move, because as the way I understand, and I'm still fairly new here, I've only been in Kingsmill about 3 or 4 years. But the way I understand this is somebody has to take that step forward and request for this so that we can start moving forward to get things like this changed. So that's all I'm asking for. Just very simply, I just want to update my house. I want it to look like it matches, or actually to get it matched. And that's the crux of it. So I appreciate y'all's time and your consideration today. I'll stop sharing. So Mr. Hudson, you can take it back over.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a whole lot on here. Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes, Ed Connors. I want to make sure I understand, Mark. You stated that this specific type of request to change the color of the door or window frames or trim from the brown, whether it be white or some other color, this type of request has come up more than once to EPB from Winster Facts, and it's been denied.
Yes, other residents over time, we've seen this request before to deviate from the prototype colors that the PAC has approved. There's different parcels within the PAC, and it's the same with Archer's Mead and other PAC areas where they, for those specific areas, so that there is diversity in there, the colors are changed up. It's not like every house is painted the same color with the same color trim. So there are variations in there, but they're PAC approved, and then those PAC approvals are submitted to EPB. We approve, review the paint chip colors to make sure that there is some harmony and diversity in the neighborhood, and then we approve those. So when we see something coming in from a homeowner that's not in accord with that, we we have denied it in the past.
Okay, so if I understand what he's saying, Pelham, the situation is still possible. It just will take a little more work. I sympathize with your situation because living in a parcel and living in Kings Mill, you've got two sets of regulations that you have to look at, the parcels and Kings Mill. So I sympathize with your situation, and but it sounds like at this point, the only recourse is that you actually need to work with your PAC and maybe the other people that live in your plex or unit and try to get these changes made as a group as opposed to individually.
All right, I hear what you're saying. Thank you, sir.
Is that a viable path to pursue?
Are you asking me, sir?
Yeah, I am. See you, Pelham.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try anything I can. I don't quit easily, so I will. With all respect, I will continue to fight the good fight.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Well, we have,
this is Jonathan.
the board has supported the PAC with their prototypes because usually there's quite a bit of research and discussion that takes place with all the residents in a particular parcel when they develop a prototype. You know, certainly they've already, I mean, they have recently changed their paint scheme and all that sort of thing, which, as you said, John, looks I think very attractive. It's not that they're totally intransient on changing their prototypes because they just changed some of the paint colors.
This is Jonathan. I guess my question is, you know, if there's been multiple requests for the same color, why didn't it make the cut for the latest? You know,
I don't think it's ever been through the process of becoming a prototype is the problem. It just needs to go through the process and go through the PAC and become a prototype. I would agree with what Ron said, that I don't think the PAC would deny it as a prototype. It just has to go through the process. They have to present it to EPB and then see where it lands. It's just kind of out of sequence where we're at right now.
So basically, the EPB is they're just following the PAC guidelines. They're not giving an opinion on if they like the color or not.
Correct.
So Mark, if Pelham went back to the parcel and got the prototype colors expanded to include the color he's looking to use, that would probably be okay. This is a question. That would probably be okay with the EPB? It'd be approvable?
Well, the PAC would have to, as was just discussed here, they would have to, it won't be approvable on a case-by-case, house-by-house basis. It would have to be exactly what Ed just recently opined to. The PAC would have to say, okay, for this group of homes in this area here, that we would submit it as an option. And we just had this come up actually in Archer's Mead, where we went back to them and said, okay, we can't have these three houses in this group paint this way, and these 3 or 4 that are right part of their group next to them go another way. You all either have to go one way or the other and tell us what you want to do. And that's what they did, and they were approved. So we've just been through this in Archer's Mead on a situation. So what Ed described is accurate.
So it goes back to the original declaration and the definition of harmony.
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
I do want to say that I would love to support what you're doing, Pelham, and if there's a way to work with the PAC to get this approved, because I know you will definitely put up the fight and be able to do that, because I know that you've put so much work into your home inside, and it seems like those are the last 2 pieces to make your house perfect. So I think it's a great idea, and I hope that you can get some support on the PAC side so that it can be official.
Yeah, I appreciate the board's, y'all provided a lot of clarity, I think, and this is no fault of anyone's, I think, but as I said, I'm still a fairly new resident to Kingsmill and wasn't, when I requested the EPB approval and got denied, I was told my recourse is a board of directors appeal. I wasn't told about going through the pact and trying to do it that way. So I see a new path in front of me. And I understand what y'all are saying. So I have no ill will, and I fully expect a denial, and I'll follow that other path and see if I can go about it the correct way. So again, I appreciate y'all's time.
Is there just a question to us as a board? Is there someone on this call that is the PAC liaison that can work with him on that maybe? Is that allowed?
Sure, it's allowed. Who's the liaison for Mr. Fax?
Yeah, we actually have Lane Olson on here, and she's unmuted. So Lane, do you want to add anything?
I know Lane. I know Lane well. She's actually my next door neighbor, so I've been to her quite a bit on parcel issues. So I can speak to Lane.
But it's
I would talk to her.
Yeah, it sounds to me, and please, if you disagree, everybody jump in. I'm sure you will. That we don't really need a board motion one way or the other. Pelham has agreed to kind of take it back to the parcel and try to work through this with them, which I think is definitely the right way to proceed. But I don't really see the board having to take a position on anything at this point. Anybody disagree with that?
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Well, let me ask Mark. Mark, what do you think procedurally?
I think procedurally, the board needs to vote to either uphold the EPB's denial or to disagree with the EPB. For the record, it either needs to be approved or denied.
Yeah, under your scenario, John, it would only work if Pelham actually withdrew his appeal, and no one's
correct.
No one's asking him to do that. So I think we have to vote on it.
Well, that's what I was going to suggest. I'm happy to withdraw it. Like I said, now that I better understand the process, I see a better path to getting to where I want. So if the board will allow me, I'll withdraw my appeal.
I think that's absolutely the way to go. So I should do that and see if we can work something out, and let's see where that takes us.
Okay. Yep. I withdraw, and I'll see y'all again potentially soon.
Thank you,
Pelham. Last thing, Pelham, thank you for your maturity and handling it the right way. I think it goes a long way.
Absolutely. Yep. Those of y'all that I haven't met, appreciate your time, and good to see all those that I know.
Thanks, Pelham.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, John, can I just add again before you move to the next case? We got an interim few seconds here. I'm new to the board, and I have sat in on the last 3 EPB application days. And I just want to say that I know there are a lot of people in the community that have issues with EPB, and probably most of those people don't really know exactly what they're talking about. They hear rumors from neighbors or something like that. I just want to say that I am very impressed with the work of EPB. I think Mark, Susan, Dorothy, and the other members do a fabulous job. And if you look at the presentation that Susan made, their caseload in 2015 was 509. Last year, it was 877. That's almost a 70% increase. And, so I just want to give them a pat on the back and let them know that I think they do a great job.
Very good. Good point. Okay, let's move to our second EPB appeal. Mr. Kendall, and I guess we'll start with you, Mark. If you could kind of discuss the reasons of the denial, then we'll have Mr. Kendall speak. Each of you have 10 minutes.
Okay, this application was to install a fence inside of a fence. The EPB has already approved a black metal fence in the right elevation side yard of the residence at the end of the driveway because Mr. Kendall has a dog and applied for that fence, which we approved. The application for this fence is a white fence for screening purposes of a generator that is actually inside of the metal fence area at the end of the driveway. And the EPB has previously denied the location of the installation of the generator. So therefore, we're denying the installation of this fence around the generator, since there's already a fence there.
Okay.
That's it.
Mark? Mark, did you have anything else?
Yes, I'm here. Nope, that's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's all I've got.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Kendall, you have up to 10 minutes.
Hey, Mark's description is fairly accurate. It is a fence within a fence. You may recall I've already been to a challenge earlier, and when I first became aware of this, and it's a little embarrassing, but I did not get an approval for this location, so that's on me, and it is a little bit of a chagrin. When I put the paperwork in to get this location approved, it was turned down at the EPB meeting for a fire explosion hazard issue, which before that Zoom meeting concluded, I asked the question again if it was a safety issue or aesthetic issue, and Mark said it was safety only. I then went to the fire marshal of James City County, and he came out, and there was no safety issue there. The EPB denial letter didn't mention this safety issue. It just said it was it needed to be in a more appropriate location. And Susan and Dorothy requested a visit to come and look for an appropriate location. And they came over. Susan was pretty keyed in on the gas meter on the other side of the house, and thought that would be the best place to put it. I did ask what the definition of an appropriate location was, and Susan said they had never approved a generator that wasn't against the structure of the house. And I don't know how it happened, but there is one in 141 Roger Smith that's in the front yard. It's kind of flies in contravention there. So I challenged the board, and the board basically said, come up with a plan to screen it where it is and see if that will fly with the EPB. So that's the plan that Mark described pretty accurately, that is actually a fence within a fence that will make the unit invisible. Before I put that, while I was putting that plan into EPB, Rich came to visit me, and he wanted to look at alternate locations also. And he keyed in on the gas meter on the other side of the house. And we had a long discussion that the gas meter is not really the pot of gold. There's two pieces to a generator, and one of them is a big long wire that goes to the electrical panel. So, there's more involved than just here's a gas meter that'll solve the issue. So, and he told me EPB was going to deny it again. They hadn't met yet, but he said they're just not going to go with that. So the KCSA board told me to put this in, and if it did not fly, to come back and challenge again. So that's what I've done. And where the unit is right now, I'm estimating it'll be, you know, $600 or $700 to screen it where it is. And it cost me about $3,000 to move it to the other side of the house. And there was one other point I just wanted to bring up during this time. This week, I just got a letter from EPB, final notice of violation. And it sort of threatens legal action and penalties, monetary penalties and such. It seems kind of out of line to send these out while we're essentially in what I don't know for a better word, call it an appeals process, but it's almost kind of in the threatening, harassing spectrum, but I'm not sure why. It seems out of line to put these letters out while we're kind of discussing the subject. And that's all I got. I can make it disappear right where it is, and we can move it over to the left-hand side of the house. But if we do, I still have that pesky issue that, and while Vice President Michael is very accommodating, those plants that will screen it will essentially be on Kings Mill property. And I will not have an egress if I need to bring a piece of equipment to the back of the house. And, you know, like I said, Michael's great to work with, but we just can't see the future and who's, you know, do we have another new owner coming and are they going to do something with this property? Lord knows, I hope I don't need a piece of equipment back there, but that is kind of a pesky issue that's got me concerned. And that's all I got.
All right, thank you, David. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Well, this is Ed again. It seems to me that at some point we may have to talk about the generator again, because please correct me if I'm wrong. Is Susan on the line or Mark Jacobowski still on the line?
Yes,
It seems to me
I'm still here.
It seems to me that historically, when the first appeal came up for the denial of the generator location, that this board, and I wasn't on the board, but it seems to me that reading the record, this board kind of punted and did not vote on the denial of the generator location. So that's still up in the air. What is before us right now has nothing to do with the generator location. It has to do with an application to install a fence around the generator. So we're not, at this point, we don't have a legal right to address the generator location issue. The only thing in front of us is EPB has denied his application for a fence around the generator, and that's all we can vote on. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes, 100%, absolutely.
But we did ask him, because as a solution possibly of not having to move the generator from the last meeting, we said, bring to us a proposal on how you could landscape around. So it's a solution for the possibility of not having to move it from the prior meeting. So there are two things out there, right, Mark?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, but right now, if the board says we overturn EPB and tell Mr. Kendall it's okay to have this fence, de facto, you've told him it's okay to have a generator located in his yard, which goes against what EPB has decided. So you would have overruled EPB twice.
Correct.
Any other thoughts?
Well,
You want to make a motion?
I sympathize with Mr. Kendall. I do not think 141 Roger Smith is an example of that he can base his decision to move his generator into the yard. That's in a courtyard. It's covered by a brick wall. And we'd have to look at the history of that as to what happened when, did EPB approve that or not? And I don't know the history of that, but I do know that it's not an exact example of his situation. So, and I don't know anything about the safety issue. To me, the issue that EPB has denied his generator application on is that EPB does not approve generators in yards. And they've got to be up against the house and preferably along with the other AC units. And apparently Mr. Kendall's installer couldn't do that. I remember hearing that at a previous board meeting. So now the solution is to move it to the other side of the house. And I sympathize with you that it would cost you money. And I hate to see you spend more money. You've got a beautiful house and I know you spend a lot of money on it, but there's just not enough evidence for us to overrule EPB.
Ed, would you like to make that into a motion?
I move, well, we're only talking about.
We're only talking about the fence.
The fence. I move that this board uphold EPB's denial of the fence.
All right, need a second.
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion or questions from the board?
So if we're denying, hold on a second, if we're denying if we're upholding the EPB decision on the fence, where does it go from here?
He can come back and appeal the generator denial.
All this does, Ed,
It just delays it.
is keep us from doubling down basically on the placement of the generator to a large extent.
I don't know what you mean doubling down. We don't have an appeal of the generator in front of us right now.
And I understand, but by approving your point earlier about approving the fence, you're de facto approving the generator.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I'm voting. I'm going to vote to support EPB's denial of the fence.
All right, we've had a motion and a second. Last call. Any other comments, anybody?
Well, John, as I recall, the original building plans located the generator where EPB is recommending that it go back or go to now. I mean, I sympathize with the fact that the money's already been spent to locate it where it is, but in fact, the original plan was not followed, as I understand the history of the case. And I don't know that there is a remedy for, we're turning down the fence, but I don't know that there's a remedy for the generator to remain where it is. I mean, I appreciate, I agree with Ed, but I also think that we're just doing this is a bit of a boomerang because we're going to deny this and it's going to bounce right back next board meeting on denying that where the generator location is.
Let me just ask a question. And correct me where I'm wrong. I believe that we heard this and we asked him to come to us with a possible solution outside of moving it.
I think specifically a landscape plan, not an additional fence plan, because single uniform style fencing, we all know all about that, and this is throwing a grenade on a problem we already have here. So this is more than a landscape plan, it's a fence plan, and you've got aluminum fence up against vinyl fence, and the policies and procedures clearly state a single uniform style of fencing. So I don't want to speak for Mark, but I feel like that's where they're reading their letter. That's what they're denying is the fence. So
then yeah, why not just I agree with Ed and Ron then that, the fence as it's presented is not going to work.
That's the motion.
Yeah. Okay. Then
And that's
wherever it goes,
and that's
wherever it
all-
goes from here,
And that's all correct.
and
I
wherever
have
it goes
some
from
clarity.
here is wherever it goes from here.
I can add some clarity on that fence if you wish.
Quickly, if you would.
Bruce requested that I put a fence in there with plants around it. That was the specific request from this board, was to include another fence, and then outside of that second fence, another layer of plants. That's exactly what I did. I think it's a bit much myself. I think it can all be done with plants, but I just did what I was asked. That's all.
All right, last chance. Any other comments, anybody? Time to vote. Everybody remember the motion?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? No. Looks like the ayes carry. So thank you, everyone. That is the end of our agenda for today's meeting. Any last comments anyone wants to make before we adjourn?
I'm confused.
All right, thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.